fine.
Hey, what's up, guys? Through Radio13.fm. I am so pumped that I get to sit down and talk to the man himself, Trey Tate. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. So excited for this.
Man, I am pumped, man. We've been cranking the journey mainly off of your EP for what's it been out? 6 months, 8 months, 2 years? I don't know.
It's been out. So it officially came out in January of 2024. So it's been out a while.
Okay.
Um, I need to put out some more stuff, but
I think
it's in
we
the
ran it.
works.
Yeah, I think we ran into it. I don't even know how I came across it. Probably, I'm thinking June, maybe even a little earlier than that. I came across. I said, "What is this? And who is this? And why haven't I had him on my station previously?" So,
Yeah.
the journey. You call it a six track EP. I'm going to call it five and a half because you have an intro in there.
Yep. Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
talk. Let's talk a little bit about that. Like I said, the song "The Journey" is. I think that's the one that you were really pushing for radio play, correct?
Yes, sir. It was. Yeah.
Yeah. What?
Um, and I think I tried to push. So I had two other songs that I kind of tried to push. One I probably could have pushed, but not really. It's kind of hard to push it in the Christian market because there's no vocals on it. It's instrumental. Um, I like bands like Animals as leaders and stuff like that. So I like that instrumental metal, kind of thing. But I think I sent that off to a couple of stations in a couple of different places, and they were like, "Yeah, we don't really do instrumental music." And I
I
also
don't
have,
either.
well, yeah. I think you may have been one of the people I sent it to then, which I
Was I was
completely
I
understand.
was I snarky on my reply? Like, dude, I ain't playing this, man.
No, I sincerely doubt that. You were, if I remember correctly, which I say if I remember correctly, I know I remember correctly. You and Rock and Revolution were like the first two stations to play my stuff.
I know they
Um,
beat me by like a week. I think you told me.
yeah, I think so, but I actually credit you guys all the time. I tell people when I'm talking to them, I'm like, and when the topic of me getting signed comes up, they're like, "How did that happen?" I was like, "Well, it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Rock and Revolution, if it wasn't for Radio 13.fm, Rock for Him. They played a big part in it too, but yeah, it was crazy, and I mean we can go ahead and just kind of dive into that a little bit too. I
Yeah,
came out of
absolutely.
nowhere and nobody had ever heard of me, and I think it's so funny. Here in Southwest Virginia, southwestern Virginia, I guess is the best way to say it, because it's not West Virginia, it's just the southwestern part of Virginia.
I thought you guys
Uh,
created a new state. You got West Virginia, Virginia. Now you got Southwest Virginia. I don't know, man.
well, we don't like being associated with Nova, which is Northern Virginia. It's where all the city folks are. I live in the mountains. I live
Okay.
in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Some of the most beautiful sights you will ever see in your life in these mountains, man. So I'm a country boy. I definitely wouldn't consider myself a redneck. And it's funny because to people around here, they probably wouldn't consider me as much of a country boy as as some of the guys who are probably considered a redneck. But I still grew up, compared to a lot of people that compared to people that aren't from here, I grew up very country. But yeah, it's it's so funny. I so for the past 11 years now, right? I've been in a I've been playing Christian music since I was 17. I started out in a local youth worship band. Started in church. That's actually how I got started playing bass. Um, a couple of years later, I started out in my first Christian rock metal band, and
And that was called like
we
was that All Came as One?
no, that one was actually the next band after that. This
Okay.
one was called Soul Redemption.
Okay.
You can't find anything by Soul Redemption. I think I still have a video or two on my YouTube, but I have them where they're private because they were bad. This was like I'm talking ultimate garage band. It was me and a drummer, and that was it. I played guitar, he played drums, and he sang. He wrote most of, if not all of the lyrics. Um, and then we ended up going our separate ways. He actually that drummer ended up not being involved with church and those kind of things anymore, and kind of going a different route. And when that happened, shortly after, I ended up in All Came as One. Now that's the band I've been in for 11 years.
Okay.
And we're still active, but everybody's gotten older, everybody's married, and everybody has kids now.
Yeah.
Well, if they don't have kids, kids are on the way. And in fact, I don't know if you know, me and my wife are actually expecting in June.
Oh,
Um,
congrats, man.
Thank you. We actually just found out back in October. I want to say October. But our the lead singer of my band, it's a we're a girl fronted band,
Okay.
and we're kind of we had some Christian rock back in the day, but we always had a lot of Christian worship, so we kind of blended the two. We did a lot of Christian worship covers, and we would try to take some things and we would try to put like a little bit of a rocky spin on them. The older we've gotten, and since we don't do as much anymore, it's just went straight worship now, which is perfectly fine. I have me and my wife are actually worship leaders at our church, so I have a heart for worship music too, which is
There's
always
nothing
so
wrong
funny.
with metal worship, just so you know.
Yeah, no,
There's nothing
nothing at
wrong with
all.
metal worship. Iron strengthens iron, right?
Exactly.
Iron sharpens iron. So there you go.
But yeah, so I play bass in that band. I'm one of the original members. We got together in 2013, and we actually did. We never made it out to anything like the circuit that I'm on now, which is absolutely insane. Still don't understand how I got here. It's a God thing, but we actually got to do a lot of cool things. They just happened to be regional. We opened up for numerous national acts in that kind of space of like kind of Christian rock, but not like Christian rock, if you know what I'm talking about. So we
Yep.
we opened for like Building 429. We actually opened for them twice.
Okay.
Got to meet them
That's a
both
pretty big name
times.
there.
Yeah, yeah, and they actually the second time we opened up for them. No, the first time we opened up for them was at a thing called Bear Jam, and it's out in Bland County, Virginia, which is it actually makes where I live look more like the city. Like it's nothing but sticks up there. Um, and they're different people. They're kind of like West Virginia light people, and I don't mean anything bad about them. But if you're from Virginia and you know people from Bland, you know what I'm talking about. Um, but their high school up there is the Bland County Bears, so Bear Jam.
Got it.
But we opened up for them then, and we played acoustic that time. And none of us we didn't love it. We wanted to play, go full electric, but we were given kind of a smaller slot, and we had to set up in front of them. But it was still fun. We had a great time, and like I said, we actually got to talk to them afterwards, and they kind of gave us some advice because at that point in time, I think we were still trying to take music and not really get, we weren't trying to get famous, but we wanted to do it full time.
Right.
Um, that didn't happen, but we had some opportunities and whatnot. But the second time we opened up for them, it was at a thing called Replenish Fest in a place called Floyd County, Virginia, or I guess just Floyd, Virginia. But they had like the main stage, and that's where they had some of the bigger acts, and we were actually under they had like a tent, and the stage was literally a piece of plywood, and I'll never forget. We're like halfway through the set, and here comes the lead singer and the guitarist, and they just sneak up in there, under the tent and just sit down and catch like the second half of our set. And I'm nerding out the entire time, and I'm looking over at Avery, our guitar player, and I'm like, dude, they're there. And they came
What?
up and talked to us afterwards, and they were like, yeah, we didn't get to see you guys the first time that you guys opened up for us, so we wanted to come check you guys out. So that was really cool. But yeah, we got to open up for them twice. We got to open up for JJ Weeks. I think they were at the same festival, maybe a different year, but they were there. So Building 429, JJ Weeks, the Never Claim. They're a little bit smaller, but they still had, I think, all kinds of awards and stuff. Jason Crabb, Phil. Oh, I can't remember his last name now. He was on American Idol. And he came to like our town, and we got to open up for him. I can't think of his last name though. I've got it in my bio,
Okay.
because I added all that in there. I was like, it just kind of makes it look cool. Um, but yeah, we not to sit here and brag about that all night, but
How about Phil
you know,
Stacy?
Phil Stacy, that's it. Yes, yep. Um, but yeah, either way, God let us have some really cool opportunities and do a lot of really cool things, and we were very busy. I mean, we played probably 25, 30 shows a year. They were
Wow.
just in our area. I mean, um, we'd play a little bit in West Virginia, we'd play a little bit in North Carolina, but a lot of it was it's what's called the New River Valley up through Virginia. It's where the New River is.
Okay.
It's not far from Blacksburg, Virginia, where Virginia Tech is. Um, but we were just super busy up through that area, and we still get we don't advertise or anything anymore, but we still get uh, randomly we'll get people wanting us to come play, and we've had to tell them no a bunch of times, more than we've been able to tell them yeah. We end up doing, I think, maybe about 3 shows a year now, 2 or 3 shows a year.
Okay.
Um, we're actually doing one in February, which is going to be interesting considering that my wife is pregnant, and she didn't start out with the band, but the lead singer, like I said, we're a girl fronted band. Um, the lead singer is actually best friends with my wife. That's how I met my wife. And our electric guitar player is married to the lead singer. So, but both of them are pregnant. So I think I joked and said that we're going to change our name for that show and just call it All Came as Pregnant.
There you go.
Um, but we're actually, there's two other original members, the rhythm guitarist and the drummer. Um, they both have kids, or they both have a kid apiece, and they're married. They had kids first, so the me and the lead guitarist and the lead vocalist were the last ones. So, um,
Nice. Well,
but
you can tell your lead singer who's pregnant going to be singing. A couple years ago, actually, been a few years ago now, I saw Lacey Sturm up in Minneapolis, and
okay,
she was huge at the time, right?
yeah,
And I don't mean like popularity wise. I'm saying she was huge. She's like five
gotcha.
foot nothing, weighs 100 nothing, and she was up on stage. I swear, man, she was 13 months pregnant, possibly 14 months pregnant,
Yeah,
and she's up there jumping around, dancing around. So there's hope. There's hope for your lead singer. There's hope for your wife. I think you're good,
yeah,
man.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, there definitely could be, but I think everybody's kind of, uh, at least from their perspectives, that they've, everybody's got careers. Which, I mean, I have a career too. I have a full time job, and I've been in the IT field for, gosh, is it 5 or 6 years, since 2019, second half of 2019, I guess. Um, I'm a database administrator for a company called CDW,
Okay.
and I work from home. So that's one reason why I'm able to still do my music stuff, is because I'm at home all the time.
Right.
So this room, you can probably tell it's a little bit of a wreck behind me. There's boxes. That's literally Trey Tate merch behind me. But this room is a wreck. It's got Christmas presents. It's got work stuff. It's got music stuff. This is also my man cave, and it's a small room, but I've got everything in here. But yeah, everybody just kind of decided to kind of really back off things and take it off. But around, I want to say 2019, so this is before COVID hit. I had just so I didn't graduate college the first time I went through college, or the third time. It took me a while to get through college, which I still don't have, like, I don't have a bachelor's or a master's or PhD. I have an associate's degree from a community college, but it's what's got me into my career, and it's been great. But I graduated in 2019. I went back in 2017, went through it, graduated in 2019, and after I got out, I had a job waiting for me when I officially graduated. I did an internship at a bank, and they loved me, and they offered me a pretty good position, pretty good salary, and all that, especially for this area. Um, but sometime around that time, I bought a used MacBook Pro, which has GarageBand on it, for free, and that was my first, that was like my first journey, no pun intended, into recording, self recording. All came as one. We had actually went into the studio, I want to say, at least 2 times. We actually went to the one of the bands I was telling you about, the Never Claim. They were actually living in Franklin, Tennessee, which is like a right outside of Nashville.
Yep.
So when we were going there, I thought we were going to Nashville, and then I'm like, this isn't Nashville. And then I learned a lot of people that are associated with Nashville live around this area. I found out that Maddie Mullins lives in Franklin, Tennessee.
Yep.
Went like right as we were, I think we were heading back to Virginia, and I found that out. I like looked at his like Instagram, and I seen he was in Franklin, and I went, "You've got to be kidding me!" I was in the same city as Maddie Mullins,
I
and
would have
didn't.
crashed his party. He's really big with the Traeger smoker. I would have crashed his party and and said, "Where's the barbecue?"
Yeah, yeah. I'd love to meet him. I've always been a big Memphis Mayfire fan, and I even like some of his worship stuff that he's put out. I think I tried to get our worship band at church to do it one time, and my wife was like, "I can't sing that." She's like, "I don't have a voice like that. That's a guy, and he sings completely different than I do." But
Yeah, no,
yeah. So
he's absolutely
yeah,
incredible. I love Maddie.
yeah. But we actually we went and recorded with Neverclaim, with the guitarist for Neverclaim. We put out like I want to say it was a 3-song EP. And one of the songs I'm actually thinking, well, more than thinking, I'm playing around with covering my band's song. So,
Was that
which
really
I've already
covering at that point?
well, I think it'd be more like a rendition, I guess.
There
I
you
don't
go.
know. It wouldn't really
Let's
be
do
a
that.
cover. Um, it's funny. The Journey is actually it was from Soul Redemption, the first band I told you I was in.
Hmm.
Um, it's very different than the way we did it. So back in 2020, like I said, in 2019, I got the MacBook and I started kind of recording. Shortly after that, I think I started recording the Graffiti, which is the title song off the EP.
Hmm.
Um, and that I actually wrote because I was mad at our guitarist, because anytime I would send him guitar riffs, now I was the bass player, so it might have been out of pocket to send him guitar riffs all the time, but I would send him guitar riffs and he would be like, "Oh, that's cool, but I need you to write lyrics and put it with it." And I'm like, "I'm not a lyricist. I don't write lyrics. I'm a musician. I write guitar and bass stuff." So when this was all going on, I think I sent him something while I was even working on it, uh, working right before I started working on Graffiti, which wasn't even going to be an EP. It was just going to be one song I put out on my own. Um, and I think I sent him something, and he said it to me again, and it irritated me and made me mad. So I came up with the whole concept, the whole concept of Graffiti, and this is actually how I got started, really doing the Trey Tate solo project kind of thing. But the whole idea was supposed to be, and I actually changed the name of it. It was originally Musical Graffiti, is what it was going to be called.
Okay.
And the whole idea was because at that time I was very geared towards doing instrumental music. I still considered it Christian music, but it was just instrumental music. I liked instrumental music really, like, I was really big into it at the time, and still love instrumental music. But I got irritated, and my whole concept behind it was to be like, with Graffiti, there's no words, there's no description. It's just art to be interpreted however you see, and just to be enjoyed. And that's kind of what I went for with that song, and that's what it was supposed to be. Um, so yeah, if it wasn't for him irritating me, I don't know that I would have ever put out an EP. I don't know that I would have ever got any songs on radio station or anything. So I still I pick at him about that today. I'm like, thanks for motivating me, and it helped. But yeah, I spent from 2019 uh, to 2024 really. I put out 3 of the songs as singles. So I put out Graffiti, with Faith We Rise, and the one with the beats. I put those out 2019, 2020, and 2021.
Okay.
Um, and then The Journey, and there's more of an a ballad that I have on my EP called Fire in the Night.
Okay.
Um, and that one's very personal. It's not like super. It's not really super rocky. It's very much a ballad. It has a blues guitar solo at the end, which I really like. I love blues. Um, but I started working on those, and at that time, like I said, I really never considered myself a singer. I never, uh, when all of it was, there was no plan behind any of this. It was just, it kind of developed, and I was like, I got this idea after I put out Graffiti as a single. I was like, well, what if I do an EP? I was like, I could take this old song from Soul Redemption and just completely redo it. And well, I think at the time I was just going to cover it. And then after I got the drummer's permission, I reached out to him and was like, hey, I want to take the song and do my own thing with it. And he was like, "Go ahead, take it, do whatever." Um, rewrote some of the music and rewrote 90% of the lyrics. I think the only lyrics in that song that are the same is the first verse. The chorus is completely different. The second verse is completely different. The bridge wasn't even there. It's basically just the idea from the original song from that band, but it's completely different. Um,
I think if it's a two-piece garage band, I think you have to make some, adjustments to it.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Um, but yeah, it took me a couple of years um, to get the lyrics right to my singing style of what I could do. Because like I've been saying, I don't really consider myself like a singer. Like, I don't have the prettiest singing. That's why I do screams as well. Because I feel like I'm not the best screamer and I'm not the best singer. If I put them both together, I might have a little something.
I
But
think it sounds all right, dude. I think you're just
thank
fine,
you.
man.
Um, but yeah, and it was so crazy how everything was kind of happening around that time too. So like during the time of me like trying to work on these, and it happened over a couple of years. So um, when I recorded most of the music in 2019, um, and probably early 2020. But then me and my wife got married. We moved in together, so I had a lot less time to work on the music and had to do, you know, get used to being married. And that's been, been an amazing journey. But it takes getting used to. There's no longer the, what do I want to do tonight? It's what are we doing? And
What
you
are
probably
we?
shouldn't be on your computer all night with a guitar in
Yeah.
your hand. So, um, but yeah, just between that and then after COVID happened, we lost a not like people passed away, but we had a lot of people go leave from our church, and I feel like it happened at a lot of churches. But um,
Absolutely.
we lost a lot of our congregation and really had to rebuild. We lost all of our worship team except for me and the drummer. Um, and
So did they just go other places, or did they just kind of
yes,
stop coming to
um,
church and then just said, you know what, we'll do church at home? Or
so some of it was they started going other places, and part of that is our church was kind of a lot of the people who were uh, a lot of the people that were like on the worship team were either related to the pastor or friends with the pastor, um, and when that happened, there was some of them had kids and they had little kids.
right?
And just with COVID, I think it shifted a lot of people's perspective, and they're like, it's always been hard to do it with kids, but now this is a whole new thing. And we were in an old movie theater from the time that we started as a church up until 2020. And I started going there when I was like 13 years old. I was the first ever like youth kid there. And I went there off and on, but you know, I was back, when this happened. I'd been back for a couple of years really, but yeah, we there was a lot of people, they had young kids, and they had just been doing it for a while, and they were some of them were coming from an hour away, and they just decided that they were going to take a step back, go somewhere a bit closer to home. I think there might have been some family things that I didn't get into.
Right.
I don't know if disagreements or what, but working with family is not always the easiest.
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, just different things. Whatever it may have been. The world just kind of shifted.
Yeah.
Um, but the worship band we had was just me and the drummer, and we actually brought in somebody to help us with the worship band, and it just kind of slowly rebuilt. And my wife was actually she was basically, well, she was like the co-worship leader at another church. So me and her didn't go to church together like when we were before we got married. And even a little bit, I might have been a little bit. No, we were married. We were definitely married when they asked us to. But um, when COVID happened, we didn't have church on Sunday mornings. We would have church on Saturday evenings because again, we didn't have a building, and things were weird. You had to have church outside, so we ended up having church outside in a movie theater parking lot.
Wow.
Um, and right before everything shut down, we had lost the movie theater that we had church in. The town that we live in bought it back and they restored it, and it's a really nice place. Where they've done some really awesome things with it now, but it was a bit bittersweet for me at first because it was like I grew up that being the church. Um, but when that happened, right before COVID happened, we ended up we were having church. We were renting out like a movie theater room at our local movie theater, and we would have church. We would set up and tear down. Set up right before church, have church, and then tear right down. We'd have a small setup, um, and then things got more restricted. We had church outside in the parking lot, and then we ended up getting our new location, which is where we're still at now, which is actually like 5 feet beside of the movie theater that we were originally in. So, and it's an old like retail space.
Nice.
So we always joke and said God wanted us on Main Street. He just moved us 5 feet. Um, but after we got into the new facility, we had, like I said, we had a lot of people that left and did other things, and we had we brought in a lady who had been she had experience doing leading worship and stuff, and kind of brought her in to kind of help us rebuild and stuff. And my wife came that evening, and she was just kind of coming to check in on us. And at this point, she had had a little bit of experience, leading worship, but that's kind of like a young co-worship leader. Um, and she ended up coming and helping us for a while, and then after I want to say it was like 6 months, the pastor was just like, "Hey, we want you two to be our worship leaders," and that was like 2021, I want to say. So
Wow.
we've been the worship leaders there for since then. Um, and I love it. I love it's always funny because I've learned that in this circuit on the Christian metal there's I always knew about the people who are a lot more into the worship, and especially where I live, people are still into hymns heavily. So I've always grown up with people not really loving the metal that I listen to and stuff, but it's been kind of weird because I've noticed some of that back towards those kind of people, but from this side, and it's like, kind of not really liking worship music. And there's obviously things um, that I don't always disagree with, and there's a lot of some of the mega churches that are questionable. Just to
There's a
keep
few
that
of them.
vague and not go super into that, because I don't I come from a very small church, so I don't have a whole lot of well, I have a not really experience, but I worked for a multi-campus church for a while. It wasn't my main church. I did it as like a side job,
Right.
and I played bass for them. I did that for about 5 years off and on. Um, but I was just like, I kind of like the smaller church thing a lot better. Um,
A
but
lot of the bigger churches are just getting a little crazy right now. I mean, you look at
yeah,
Stephen's church down there. What is he in Georgia or whatever? Turek, I
yeah,
think his name is. I, well, don't get me. I'm not going to get started on him. I blast him quite a bit. He's a joke.
yeah,
But a lot of these churches are just going nuts. Last year with the Super Bowl, kicking the Bible and doing the,
yeah,
the kickoff with the Bible. It's like, what are you guys doing?
yeah.
I don't think we need to do that.
No,
Well, we got to draw them in, and I believe it was Stephen Furtick's church Easter last year that they put out this or they were talking about it, and it was their publicity, their PR person. Yeah, we're not going to talk about the blood of Jesus and the sacrifice that he made on the cross. I'm like, dude, that's what Easter is.
yeah,
We don't want to turn people off to that. Well, you know
yeah,
what? That's why smaller churches. So I grew up in a church. Both my parents were ordained ministers
okay,
in a small little town in central Minnesota. 1,000 people in the town. So we had like 50 people at church, but we went to church. I mean, it's a small church. We went to church like, I don't know, like 5 times a week, you know.
wow,
So,
okay,
but I dig on the small churches. I
yeah,
mean, it's just for some, I mean, we've gone to big churches up in Minneapolis, but for me, the small churches, you just kind of have that intimate feel. And I don't
yeah,
know. I mean, God can work in any building, of course, but
yeah,
it's just something about that camaraderie that you get with those small churches.
yeah. 100% agree. But yeah, it's always kind of funny to because of some of that we're been talking about in the metal community, the Christian metal community. There's like a hatred towards worship music, and I'm kind of in the middle because it's like I love metal. I mean, there's a two For Today posters behind me, so I clearly love Christian metal.
Yeah.
But I grew up on worship music, and um, I've been in church worship bands for 17 years at this point.
Would you start playing
Since
when you're like 4?
I was 16, 17. I'm 32. I'm
Wow.
32.
Man, I got shoes older than you.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's so funny. Funny you say that. I'm in that weird period of life where I'm no longer young, but I'm not old. So young people think I'm old. Old people think I'm not old, but older people make jokes about me being young, and I'm just like, I don't know how to feel because it feels like yesterday I was in high school, and it's like coming up on 15 years ago. So
Yeah,
that
that's
I was
crazy.
in high school, not started high school. It's been almost 20 years since I started high school, but it's been 15 years since I graduated.
Wow. Wow. So then you go from that. Now you've released your debut EP,
Yep.
and that lasts roughly what, 8 months, and you get signed.
No,
That's crazy.
it was way quicker than that. So I released that January. So yeah, the whole EP came out January 19th. Um, and brand new to all of the whole I call it the circuit. I don't really know what else to call it. But essentially what it was um, when I put out the three singles before this, before I put out the entire EP, I maybe from 2019, 2020, whenever I put the first single on Spotify, and I think that was actually in 2020. I think before that I just put it on YouTube. But from 2020 to 2020, end of the year 2023, I would have been lucky if I had 200 streams on. I check Spotify because I use Spotify more than anything. I'm not an Apple
Mhm.
person, so I don't use Apple Music, and Pandora gets on my nerves. And I've had the Spotify Premium for years now because I got the college
Yep.
discount, and I still have that college discount. But so that's what I use. But yeah, I didn't have any big numbers or anything. And when I put out the EP, at this point I had put which not that it's about the money or anything, but I bankrolled everything because I'm an independent, do it yourself artist.
Yep.
So at this point, it's like 4 years in almost, and I've put. I mean, I ain't put like thousands into it, but I've put enough into it that my wife's like, "You better do something because you have wasted enough time and energy. I'm tired of hearing the songs." She had got to the point where she would go through the house singing singing like the journey for one. And it's so funny because there's probably three or four different versions of the journey from when I decided I was going to take it. So from that original version to the version it is now, especially the chorus wise, there's probably three other versions that'll never see the light of day. And in fact, I don't even think I've saved them or anything like that. But just trying to get them to work towards with my vocal style, because the original song, the drummer who that I was telling you about, that he sang on it, he was he was like in choir in high school and stuff. So he has a high, and I have a high voice too, but he like sings high and could hit like notes, and I'm like, I can't hit those notes. So not only were the notes that he had like had the singing for it, but just the way he worded it made it hard for me to sing. So I had to like rewrite it and reconfigure it for me. And there was a couple different versions of that, but she would go through the house singing one of the versions, and I could hear her go, "Oh my gosh, it's stuck in my head again." She's like, "Please finish this song so I don't have to hear it anymore." And then I got signed, and now it's been played all the time.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, anyway,
how did
so
you get hooked up with Aaron? I mean, it's interesting to me.
yeah, well, and I know I keep getting off track. I'm getting there,
No, no,
but
you're good.
so I put all this time, this money, this effort, everything into this. So I'm like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it a different way than I've ever done it before. Most of the with everything else, I've just released it, put it out there to friends and family. It is what it is. And you know, to be honest, I would have been happy if I would have had 50 to 100 people listen to it the entire year. I'd have been ecstatic. But I decided I was going to take a different approach. So I just Googled Christian rock and metal stations. That landed me with Live 365. I found Live 365 and I went through and I wrote down every Christian rock and Christian metal station that I could find on there. And I started reaching out to every one of you, and I had a whole message, and I sent you the message, so
Yep.
you probably still have it. But
Yep.
I sent the exact same message to everybody, and I just, I tried to have it like formatted and look semi-professional because I'm like, listen, I'm not professional. I'm a DIY artist, and if I want any chance, I need to, the presentation needs to be there.
Mhm.
Um, and so I every night, pretty much for like a couple of weeks at least. So at least from late January to early to mid February at the very least. Every night after work, I'd bring my laptop in the living room while we were watching TV and eating dinner, and I would send out this email. And one night, because I kept seeing Resurrection Records, it just popped up, and it was like a new page, and I didn't know what was going on, and I just I call it I say I got brave is the best way I can put it, because I'm pretty sure after sending to all these stations and stuff, like I said, I seen Resurrection Records, and I'm pretty sure the same night I also sent to my endorsement, the guitar company I'm endorsed with,
Mhm.
Inspiria Guitars. I'm pretty sure I sent a message to them either on Facebook. I think it was on Facebook because a lot of times I couldn't find email addresses, so I just sent it on Facebook, and then I would get told to send it to an email, which is fine. I can do that. Um, but I'm pretty sure I sent to both of them the same night, and I took the same email that I drafted up and sent to every all the radio stations, and I just reconstructed it to be more towards endorsement with the guitar company or the record label. Um, and I don't even know if Aaron knows this, but Resurrection Records wasn't the only one I sent to. I also sent to I think I sent to Rottweiler Records, um, and probably one or two more. But I kept seeing Resurrection Records, and I was like, I don't know why, but I just feel like I'm just gonna message him. So I did. Aaron immediately messaged back and said he would take a look at stuff. And I didn't hear anything back for a while. Um, I did, however, in the meantime. So during the time of me sending him that message to when he responded, a lot happened. I got the endorsement deal as a guitarist and a bassist for Inspiria. Um, I had been played on several stations. You had already been playing me at that time. Rock and Revolution, um, Rock for Him had just put me on, and it was so funny because Rock for Him played a big part in it too because of the chart.
Yep.
So that first week, I shared the post like crazy, and I ended up at number one. And then I think they give you, if I'm not mistaken, it's like 16 weeks that you can be on there with one song. Um, Out of those 16 weeks, I stayed in the top 20 or top 15, right?
Top 15.
For um, Out of 16, I stayed in the top 15 for 15 weeks.
Wow.
And the only reason it wasn't 16 weeks is because one week I got tired of posting because I'm not the kind of person to be like, hey, go. I felt so like terrible and like disgusting asking people to go vote for me all the time, and I was just like, I don't want that to be what my page is always asking for votes. I think it's an awesome thing, and I love Rock for Him. So it's nothing bad towards him. It's just me. Where it's just me. I'm solo, and
Yep.
me and Jermaine from Tricord was talking earlier. Me and him are really good buddies. But I was telling him about, sometimes it's hard, being a solo musician because I'm the only one, especially being not just solo, but very much DIY. And I'm a lot of people, they hear you're signed to a label and they're like, "Oh, cool. So, like, are you getting paid? Do you have like a whole team?" And it doesn't work like, we're still in a lot of ways independent to
Hmm.
a certain degree, and some of that is set up for our benefit. Aaron and them have that set up for our benefit in some
Right.
ways. But another aspect of it is it's an independent label, and there's not, we're helping each other is how it really works. But um, I've been since I started doing Trey Tate music. I've done everything from I've recorded myself in videos. I've done my own graphic design. I've done my own photos, like web design, everything you can think of. I've I've either done it myself or I've had a hand in working it. So like, I'm sure you've heard of Fiverr.com. I've used
Yep.
them for quite a bit. In fact, I had a project, and I'm not going to say what that is because I think I'm posting about it in the next couple of days. Um, it's associated with something that's already come out, so it's not like a brand new release or anything like that. But it's just a little surprise for the holidays. Um, but even with that, I sent off, and you know, I didn't get exactly what I wanted, but I got close enough. And I only paid the person like $50 on there, so it's not like I'm spending an astronomical amount. But it's like I got close enough, I can finish it on my own. And I this week has been, I think I've Sunday night I shot at least 4 videos, and I've spent the last couple of days editing them. So
Wow.
in between working and stuff, so but I have a hand in doing all that, but so I'm used to that. So um, yeah, so just getting on the chart and stuff like that was huge for me. Like I said, I would have been so happy if 100 people from my town, from my county, from my state would have heard my EP, and then it gets out onto this circuit, and then like I said, all of you guys start playing it, and that was just, man, that made my year. And eventually, I think it was almost a month later. It was like 3 weeks later. Aaron messages me back, and he's like, "Hey, I'm so sorry it's taken me so long to get back to you." He goes, "I've had literally hundreds of submissions," and in my head, I read that far, and I was like, "I have no chance. This is a thank you for reaching out. Good luck next time." And then I read down further through there, and he was like, "I like your sound, and I feel like you would make a good addition to Resurrection Records. Let's hop on a call." And I went, "You have got to be kidding me." Because, like I said, me reaching out to the record label and to the guitar company, both of them were like, "These are long shots. I
Yep.
don't expect an answer, but I'm just gonna do it because I'm just that I'm kind of like that. Like I go for the fences. I'm not. I won't say I'm not scared and that I'll just do anything, but like sometimes I'm just like, it is what it is. The worst they can say to me is no, or
Exactly.
that my music sucks. One of the
And
two, but it is
and
what
if
it
you
is.
feel that you're actually, I mean, you're going there on God's purpose. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, God's taking a few long shots here and there. I
Oh
think
yeah.
he's okay. I think he's okay with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Um. And yeah, and like I said, he reached out. We hopped on the call. He told me what Resurrection Records was about, and he was like, told me, because to be honest, but before I got in touch with all these stations, before I got in with Resurrection Records and all that, I had never heard, like, I didn't know who Aaron Michaels was. That's not you know a lot of those more, I don't want to say smaller artists because I don't want to put that on them, but a lot of the artists that are more independent, I
Yep.
guess is the best way to put it. Um, they're not a thing where I'm at. Like, people around here, they know Skillet, they know Red, they know, not even that many people know For Today. I found out through them from my other metal friends. And some of those weren't even like Christian metalheads. Like, they just liked For Today because they were good metal. Um, but they know about the big metal, or the big Christian rock bands around
Yep.
here. Um, Pillar, which I don't know if you can see, I got the Pillar shirt from their
Nice.
tour this summer, and that was my birthday present to myself, was going to see them in Ohio. Um, but a lot of people don't even know who they are around here. So getting in and seeing like Aaron Michaels and Tricord and Crimson Overtone, like, I had no idea. I'd never heard of these guys before. They don't play it. Our local Christian station is a worship music station. So any and all Christian rock and metal that I know of comes from either deep dives on Spotify or YouTube or something like that, and just recommended artists that way. Um, so Aaron told me a little bit about himself, and he was telling me about how he came from another label, and he felt like, after talking to his wife, that and praying about it, that he felt like it was time to start his own label. And it was really cool and mesmerizing to me. But yeah, I said all that to say I love Aaron to pieces. He's a great guy.
Yes, he is.
There's not been a time that I can't just text him, and I text him randomly. Now it might take him a little bit. He's also on a different time zone than me. He also works full time and has a full family. So, um, but yeah, he's there's not been once that I haven't been able to reach out to him and him reach back out, and it's been that way with not just him but the other artists. That's been one of my favorite things. I mean, obviously, just put out "Mary Did You Know" cover with Jermaine of Tricord and Austin from Stars Will Fall, and it's so cool to see that come about. And uh, even though it's a cover song, that it was just so awesome to be able to collaborate, because that was one of the things I told Aaron when I signed. I was like, I want to collaborate with other artists. That was something I loved the process.
Hmm.
Um, and it's so funny when they brought up the idea of doing the Christmas, the Christmas. I guess it's a playlist now, but I think we were going to have. Not everybody was able to do a Christmas song this year. A lot of things with some of the other artists were going on, and some of them had just come aboard. So, um, not everybody volunteered this year. But it was so funny because I was like, okay, I'll do a Christmas song, and I was like, I'm gonna do "Mary Did You Know." It's my favorite Christmas song. I'm not the biggest Christmas music fan. Um, my, my mother-in-law, her birthday's in December, so it's like she's not like one of those people that like October is here, it's the time to play Christmas music.
Yep.
But she is very much one of those people that's like, okay, after Thanksgiving's done, now it's Christmas time. And I am not that person. I am a little bit of I joke and say I'm a little bit of a Grinch or a Scrooge, and it takes me a little bit to get like warmed up to. It's not like I don't hate. I love Christmas. I don't hate Christmas whatsoever, but it takes me a while to get into that mood. Um, my mom passed away in December. She actually the 7-year anniversary of her passing away was 2 days ago, so it was Monday. So for me, that's always kind of a hump I have to get over, and it's not like my dad he'll fuss on me and be like, oh, your mother would want you to continue living your life, and I'm like, Dad, it's not that. It's just I have to think about it every year, and you know I'm married now. She wasn't able to come to my wedding. I'm about to have a kid. She don't get to meet my kid. So around this time, it's not like I go into a deep depression or anything. It's just it takes me a little bit to get into the Christmas spirit. But I've always loved "Mary Did You Know." I don't know why, but I've just always loved that song,
Well, the
and I put it.
rendition you guys put together is ridiculous. I played that live last week, I think it was on our live show,
Yeah,
and I've heard so many renditions of that, and nothing against any of you guys that have done it, because there's a couple artists that I absolutely love have done that. Your rendition of that is phenomenal, and
thank you.
I think a big part of it is, I dig on Jermaine's voice so much. He does, and I love how it just melded together,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was it Austin? Is that
Austin, yeah, the drummer.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. No, I think that collab just was beautiful, man.
yeah,
And I am also, are you gonna play this Christmas song? Are you gonna play this Christmas song? I'm like, well, a couple things. I don't play elevator music, and I'm not gonna do, like all Christmas songs. So
yeah,
now that we're getting closer, I will do a live show of all Christmas music, because there is enough great Christmas music out there. Wolves at the Gate dropping Lowborn last year was incredible. You've got
yeah,
like 13 minutes. I think what was it, The Grinch or something like that they put out last year. So there's a lot of really good Christian Christmas music that I
oh
can
yeah,
put enough metal together to do a live show. Otherwise, it's going to drive me
yeah,
nuts, man.
yeah. And I'll have to send you. So I wish I could say that that mine and well, not mine. The cover that we did. That's an easier way to say it than trying to list out all three of our names. But it was cool how that came together. So I picked "Mary Did You Know," and the Jermaine like messages in the group chat, and he's like Trey, I was gonna pick that song, and I was like, oh my bad, and he was like, you want to do it together, and I was like, absolutely. Um, and then to be honest, we were running a bit behind with some stuff, because it feels like it feels like yesterday was August, and now it's almost the end of the year. So we were rushing to get things together a little bit there. But yeah, even Austin coming on board was like that was not planned. I was actually so I full transparency, I use drum tracks for my music. I,
Mhm.
I have a guy that is on YouTube that he puts out several a week, and then there's another guy I just started, not like working with. I'm not partners with them. They do it as like a part of their. They do it as like a job, and you can go buy them. Um, and for most of my drum tracks, that's what I've done because I don't have anybody locally that can go record drums for me, and I don't have a way to record drums. And I do not do well at programming drums. I've tried, but it doesn't work out. But it actually started with one of those drum beats, and I just took it, put it in. I wrote all the guitar parts over it, and then that's how it was for a little bit. And then Jermaine's like, we kind of went back and forth, and Jermaine's like, I want to play bass on it, and I was like, oh, okay. He kept getting busy, and I was just like, hey, if you need me to, I can record bass on it. And he was like, no, I've got it. So he finally got to put bass on there, and then the he comes up and he was like, hey, how would you feel about Austin from Stars Will Fall? How would you feel about him doing drums on there? I was like, that would be awesome. Um, so yeah, so I kind of came up with the structure of it, but I took it, not really took it, but there's another cover, and I'll have to send it to you. Now I don't know if the band is Christian or not. They have kind of a Christian name though. Their band name is like Seraphim. So,
Okay.
but they did a cover of it, and it's been like, I want to say that cover's been out for like 8 years, and
Wow.
I found it a couple of years ago, and it's actually got they have a girl singer feature on it, and I loved the way that they did it. And it's not like a 1-to-1, but it's what gave me the idea for us to do it the way we did it. They have a lot more of like they have a lot more of a little bit like the more classical take on it at some parts
Yep.
but they still have like the metal and the screams on it too. But yeah, me and I kind of came up with an outline, sent it to Jermaine. He was like, that's exactly what I was thinking, let's do it that way. And it just yeah, it turned out great. I love how it turned out.
Yep. Yeah. 13 minutes did Mary, did you know too? And it's actually really good. So
Okay.
out of ignorance and being that, as you know, it says right on the screen, I have no talent whatsoever. How does that work? You guys didn't like get together in a studio, right? I mean, you
No.
guys are thousands of miles apart. How does that process come together? Just somebody that's ignorant as I am.
Well, you know, I know there's a lot of bad things in the world today, but there is some great things, and being able to telecommunicate is a great thing. So it started right here in my office. I uh, wrote and played the guitar parts, recorded the guitar parts over top of the drum track. I then sent that file over to Jermaine. He puts bass over top of it. Um, and then we send it over. And this, but even before Austin got involved with it, um, and I haven't mentioned this, but probably should, because it was a huge part of it. But Jason Perez of Stars Will Fall, he has been doing. I think he just kind of got his page going and stuff, but he's trying to get that kind of going for production.
Yep.
Upward Faith Productions. He actually did the production on it, so we got everything to him. He put it all together. He's the madman behind it. But
He's a good
yeah,
dude too.
that's how it.
I actually just
Yeah,
talked to them like a month ago. We did a
gotcha.
chat, so you
Yeah,
should check that out. Those guys are really cool dudes, man.
yeah. They um, Jason and Austin were actually. I want to say they were the first two from Resurrection Records that I actually got to meet in person. When we went up for a live fest, me and my wife, when we went up to see Pillar and Skillet and all them at a live fest this year, um, we found out that uh, Stars Will Fall lived very close to where we were staying at our hotel. And me and Jason just got to talking back and forth, and we were like, hey, do you want to get together and get lunch before you guys leave and head back to Virginia? And we're like, yeah. So him and Austin were the only ones that were able to make it that day, but we actually got to have lunch with them and got to talk with them quite a bit. Um, so yeah, they're great guys. They were the first ones. It's been really cool, just with the whole Resurrection Records, getting to meet and talk with everybody and just see the differences. And everybody's from all over, and they're actually they're not super close, but there's some of the closer ones to me. Stars Will Fall is like they're about 4 hours from me, a little over 4 hours. Jermaine's like 6 or 7 hours.
Jermaine's like is
Uh,
he Oklahoma or something like that, right?
he's in Georgia. Him and
Georgia.
Crimson
Okay.
Overtone, yeah, Tricord and Crimson Overtone are both in Georgia.
Okay.
And I think they're like a good ways apart from each other. It's weird. I can make it to Jermaine in about the same time that they can make it to Jermaine, and they
Wow.
live in the same state. It's crazy how that works. But
It's crazy how
yeah,
Aaron took all of these different geographical locations and threw you together. And when I was
yeah,
talking to Aaron, we also did a chat a couple months ago. We were
okay,
talking about it, and I said, Aaron, really, let's be honest. How did you come up with your stable of artists? I said, did you just go through my playlist and just say whatever Drew is playing? Because I was playing all those bands with the exception of two of them. I was
right,
playing all, so it'd be 9 out of his 11 artists, including and then 12 counting Aaron. But
yeah,
I was playing like all of them before, and I said, "Come on, man. I mean, we're Christians. You got to tell me the truth." He goes, "Well, I might have gotten it from you," which he didn't. But I mean,
yeah,
you gotta play it up. But I just think it's incredible with what he's doing.
yeah,
I'm so impressed by again the artists that he put together. I mean, you guys
yeah,
are every one of you are solid. And I think what's more important than anything else, and I say this all the time on the live show, in these chats, I dig on the music, and dude, I dig the journey really hard. But it's the ministry behind it, the words
yeah,
behind it,
yeah,
and that's why I think I am I get so pumped up partnering, like with people like Aaron and you guys, and just playing that very small part of getting your guys' music out there, and it's
yeah,
because of the ministry.
yeah. Yeah, and that is, that is when Aaron brings anybody on, which I don't think he's bringing anybody else on for a while. He told us from the get go he's got a certain number that God's gave him, and that's what he's sticking with until otherwise. Um, but he's very open, honest, and transparent about the fact that this is ministry first, the music second, and um, sometimes that's a little bit harder for me because so and I don't know if you know this. I think I'm the only artist on Resurrection that is a studio artist. So I've never played a show out as Trey Tate music. That's never happened.
Okay.
Um, Partly because you know uh, when I started it, I was playing with my other band,
Hmm.
and there's not a ton of opportunities to play Christian rock and metal where I live. Like I said, I'm in the Bible Belt, so they are, you know, they just got worship music like 10, 15 years ago. So
Yeah,
let's be
and
very
everything
honest.
else is a sinner.
Yeah, they've loosened up on that quite a bit, but there's that part of it, and then there's me and Jermaine was actually talking about this earlier. The logistics behind it, because I was actually in 2025 was gonna try to go start playing live shows, and I was trying to put together a band because I did not want to go just do over tracks.
Hmm.
One because as I've already said, you know I'm not a vocalist first, even though I'm the vocalist of my own thing. So for me, it would be so strange to go and play shows and not have guitar or bass and just be singing the entire time. I don't know how that would even work for me because I don't even know if I'm conditioned enough to do that with my vocals. And then there's like, well, I would want to incorporate bass. I'd want to incorporate guitar, like you know. And I was trying to put like I said, I was trying to put together a band, and even there was talks about some opportunities for me in 2025 going and playing live, and God ended up having other plans. He's like, you're going to be a studio artist for a bit longer. Right as I was trying to put together a band, I had there was a guy that I actually went to high school with him. I've known him for a long time, and he was interested in playing guitar for me. We got together, had like a little kind of run through. I just showed him some of my stuff that I have out, some of the stuff I was working on. Thought everything went pretty good. Got a message from him about a week later. He was kind of worried about the travel back and forth, and I just told him I was like, well, you don't always have to come to me. I can come to you. Telecommunicating. I was like, between video calls and all that and Google Drive, we can make it work if you're interested. Um, Still haven't heard anything back from him, and that's been several months ago.
Wow.
Then there was a drummer who he lives like an hour from me, and actually Lindsay from bass player for Crimson Overtone, he seen a post in like a Christian musicians wanted group on Facebook, and it was like I said about an hour away from me, and was looking for something. And I messaged the guy, and we talked, sent him my stuff. He said he liked it, um, and was just trying to kind of organize things. And this was right before I found out my wife was pregnant. Um, and like I said, he was real interested, and then never heard anything back. And then right around that time, I think it was a little bit after that, my wife found out that we were pregnant, and I was like, well,
Now
don't
you
guess
know.
I'm going to be playing. I was like, okay, God, I see why things have not been working out in that way. So at some point, I want to. I'm not going to have it as a focus for this year,
Right.
because I'm not going to. I'm not gonna leave my wife, to fend for herself with the baby. She fussed at me a little bit. She was like, you don't have to give up. I'm like, well, I'm not giving up music. I'm just gonna continue to doing what I'm doing, what God's already had a a mission for me to do anyway, and that He's already put me in. The going and playing live as much as I would like to. It wasn't like that was something from God that was like, you're gonna go play live. It was more. It was encouragement from other people, but some of the other artists, that I've talked to and stuff, they're like, "Oh, we'd love to bring you out and have you come play with us, this, that, and the other, and come out with us and this." And but God has other plans, and for now, it's I hate to say stay at home dad, because I won't be like I'll be working, but
You work
I'll
from
be
home.
kind of, yeah, I work from home, so the kid will be at home with me. So that's my wife and kid are my priority. And I also have church where I'm a worship leader.
I don't know.
Um,
I think there's a common ground here. I think you tell
yeah,
Aaron that you want Resurrection Record Bear Fest, and you guys do your own Bear Fest up there,
well,
and there you're 10
there
miles
was
out. Yeah.
actually there was we had one of our meetings, and this has been a couple of months ago, and I said something. I was like, I would love to get everybody up here and do, because and I think this information's been out there. There's been talk about a Resurrection Music Festival, a
Hmm.
Resurrection Records Musical Festival.
Yep.
Um, and I had said something. I was like, I know of locations up here that we could do it. It's just the hard part is, which I mean, you're going to have the hard part anywhere you go, but getting the funding, getting the sponsors, that kind of thing. And I've I struggle to get people to buy my own merchandise, let alone sponsor a full concert. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, I like I said, all this merch behind me. I took a bunch of that to Ohio, and I uh, I just started working with Anchor Merchandising, so I'm hoping that'll open a little bit of doors and people might see it on there.
Nice.
But
Nice. So
I,
so besides having a child, which is probably the most important thing of 2025,
yeah,
you just released "Mary Did You Know?"
hmm,
That was your first Resurrection Records release.
correct.
So what do you have in the plans for Resurrection Records? Are you working on something new that's going to drop in 2025, or do you think it's going to be 2026 before next single comes out on Resurrection? Your first non
A
Christmas single.
non-Christmas, non-cover.
Yes.
There's plans. Everything is, I'm. If you talk to my wife, I'm always planning. My brain does not stop. I'm also a person that does not sleep a whole lot. A typical night, I'm usually, if I'm in bed by 1 o'clock, we're doing pretty good.
Wow.
But I'm always working on something. I'm always scheming on something. For me, it's always, it's not, am I working on something or is something coming? It's when's it coming and what's the logistics behind it. Um, like I said, being a solo artist, there's limitations, uh, and there's for all the things that I'm good at, there's other things that I'm not good at.
Mhm.
For the things I'm not good at, I probably put too much time into the things that I am good at to put into the things I'm not. One of the things, and I've been very honest about this from the get go, and I've spoke about it a little bit tonight. I am not, me writing lyrics is still a new thing.
Mhm.
And I have a song that I'm working on. There, it's not been recorded yet. I don't have any kind of a date for it or anything like that. But the music is pretty much completely written. I'm trying to finish up on the lyrics, but there's been, like I said, there's been a lot going on this year. I actually was playing in another band, and it wasn't a Christian band, and I was never supposed to be in the band full like a permanently anyway. It's a good buddy of mine, and he plays like country and southern rock, and he talked me into helping him out, and I did that for right when I got signed to Resurrection Records. I'd been playing with him for about a year, and I was making some decent side money, and it was honestly it was how I ended up paying for my EP and some of the merch that I came out with at that time. That's how I was paying for that stuff. And it was like when I got signed to Resurrection Records, he got busier too, and I was playing with him every weekend, and you know, was not what I wanted to do, but I kind of got stuck in a loop, and I ended up leaving the band back in August, which from day one he always knew I was leaving and that
Right.
I wasn't going to be there full time or permanently. He's still my buddy, and I still kind of help him out, and give him tips or just help him with some graphics or photography, videography, whatever. Running sound for him occasionally and stuff like that. But when that first happened, when I first left, it was kind of a big blow up, and we weren't friends for a little bit. It took us a couple months. So after that happened, I took a little bit of time off, and then there was the Christmas song and stuff. So things just kind of got convoluted, and it got hard to do. But I have a plan for 2025, and since I don't have, I've kind of cleared off some of the plate and stuff. And I mean, like I said, there's still a lot that goes into this that I have to do. I won't say on my own. I have help, but it's
Mhm.
not like the heavy lifting. The heavy lifting is me and Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus is lifting the heavy weight, but my hands have still got to do a lot of the work.
Yeah.
So, um, but I actually, one of my plans going into 2025, and this actually goes back to when I was looking for a band and put up a post about looking for a band. I had a friend of mine. She reached out to me and she was like, "Hey," um, she's like, I don't really she's like, I've not really played a lot of Christian rock and metal, but I play Christian music. And she's like, I don't know that I would be great to be in the band. She was like, but if you want like a writing partner or something, she was like, we could talk about that. So we talked about that a little bit, but I was still kind of pushing for the band at that time. And about I want to say a couple of weeks to a month ago, something like that, I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I was like, things have shifted. I'm not going to be playing live like I thought I was going to be in 2025. I feel like I, need to shift how I'm doing things. So I met with her last night. So she's going to be my writing partner.
Nice.
Now she's not going to be writing the songs for me, but we're going to be working together, and it gives me somebody to bounce ideas off of. And she
Mhm.
has a little bit more experience, writing, and we're very similar in a lot of ways. So we're gonna kind of we're gonna help each other out. She actually wants to get started, recording some of her stuff, and help with getting on streaming, and maybe even some Christian radio stations and stuff like that. And I was like, perfect. You help me write. I'll help you with what I was like,
You told her,
I
I got a
straight up.
guy. I got a guy. I know a Christian station. I
Exactly.
got a guy.
I told her, I said, listen, I said, I can't help you become rich and famous. I can't promise you that if I help you record I was like, it's probably not going to get any Grammys. So don't look for money or fame or anything like that. But I was like, what I do know, I was like, you know, would be glad to help you out. You help me out. I help you out. Let's do it. We were talking about, even she has a song that she has lyrics for that she showed me last night, and she was like, right after you messaged me, I went back to this song, and she's like, I haven't really done much with it. She was like, but when you messaged me, she was like, I just had this idea about maybe we could even do it together or something. And I read it, and I was like, there was like the second line, it had like kind of like a repeated part, and I was like, that would be perfect for me to scream behind her singing. I was like, so, um, but anyway, so I've got her coming on as a writing partner, and we're going to start in January. I've got several songs musically that I've had, two or three of the songs I've had for months, but just been busy and haven't been able to record them, haven't been able to write the lyrics for them, and I've been trying to focus on finishing the lyrics for this one song. So I'm really hoping and striving, and you're the first person I've actually said this to, and so this is going on record on Radio 13.fm. But I'm really hoping for at least having 3 singles out in 2025.
Wow,
That's my goal.
that's aggressive.
It is, it is. But I feel like the one is just needs to be finished and then recorded. So if I can get started in January, finish up the lyrics, and actually start recording that, I don't see why that couldn't be out in the first quarter, if not, first part of the second quarter. And if I don't get 3 out, then, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to come hurl at me. I would rather come out of the gate and be like, I want to get 3 songs out this year. This past year was just kind of, it was a starting point. I rode the success of my EP that I've been working on for a while. And I pushed it as far as I could possibly push it, because I've been working on it as long as I have, and it's got a lot of songs in there that are from the heart, and that I wanted to push them as far as they could go. But the plan was always to put out more music. It's just things happen, life happens, and it's funny. I make the joke occasionally. I try not to do it a whole lot, but I make the joke about. In a lot of ways, I look up to the other guys on Resurrection Artists, because I know I probably gonna get fussed on when I say it like this, but I know I'm kind of low man on the totem pole. This is my first year, on not only on the label, but in this circuit as a whole. People have only in this in this circle have only heard of my name for 12 months now. Well, 12 months tomorrow, because it's the 18th, so tomorrow. So it not 12 months, 11 months. My bad. My brain. I'm ready for Christmas and my Christmas break coming up. But yeah. So and not just music. One of the things when I signed, because Aaron knew that I was a studio artist when I signed. That was one of the things we talked about, was me being a studio artist. And there was always the question, am I open to playing live shows? And that answer has not changed. Yes, I'm still open. Again, it just comes down to logistics and the right time, and when God says it's the right time. However, like I said, everything just kind of, I don't want to say smacked on me at once, because 2024 has probably for me musically, has been one of the best years. And just well, not even just musically, but all the music stuff, having my first child, and a lot of other things. 2024 has been a very blessed year for me, but it also shown me that I have a lot that I have to kind of navigate through, and some things I had to kind of put away and whatnot. And one of the, like I was trying to say, one of the things that me and Aaron talked about when I first signed was like, since I'm not playing live shows, a couple of the things that I like to do is like content on like Facebook and YouTube, and doing podcasts and stuff. And I've done some of that this year. But we had I don't know what it was about this last meeting that we had, but it kind of set a little bit of a fire under me. And I was like, Jermaine, like, message me, call me after this meeting. And I had a couple of ideas they're related to the release that we just had, but to kind of keep some of that going until Christmas time. And, I did actually the bass behind me. I don't know if you can see, that's the Inspiria bass. Those are brand new. I just had a photo shoot with that done. In fact, my profile picture on Facebook, if you look, the bass is right beside me. So those just came out. I just had a photo shoot with those. Like I said, I just did some, there's some holiday themed videos that I think, I think I can say that. The Resurrection Records has some surprises for the holiday. Not that they're obviously music related, but they're not like playing music, but they're just little, content things, and everybody's kind of involved. And
well, I hope it's out. Christmas is like a week away, so it better be out by now.
Well, yeah, it's not music. It's just, I think it's going to be like videos, just
Gotcha.
little videos that are more of like interaction stuff for us to interact and keep that interaction, and not just music. Like we were talking about earlier, it's ministry forward. So there's we want to interact and put out things that are us talking to the 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 fans of Resurrection Records, and just putting out things like that. But finished up a couple of things for that, and then I shot a video for I'm working on a playthrough for Mary Did You Know. I'm doing a guitar playthrough.
Nice.
I haven't officially announced that, but by the time I don't know when this is aired, but hopefully the video will be out before this airs anyway. But
This will be out.
so
I mean, it's no pressure. This will be out sometime over the weekend. You got
okay, yeah,
at least 3 days, man. You're
yeah.
fine.
Well, I started working on that video today, so that'll be out. And then if this is coming out over the weekend, I can probably go ahead and say it. We've got a lyric video for Mary Did You Know? So
Oh,
there's
nice.
going to be a lyric video. It'll come out Christmas Day.
Okay.
So I've still got to make that announcement. That'll probably happen sometime between tomorrow and Friday.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
so
Monday, believe it or not, I plan on doing a Christmas show on Radio 13. And Mary, Did
okay,
You Know? I'm actually going to play 3 different versions of Mary, Did You Know?
okay,
So
very
that's
nice.
one of them is yours. Who does it best type of thing. So this is going to be out by then. So I'm gonna go ahead and announce that
Sure,
Christmas.
go ahead.
Well, you might as well
Um,
check it out.
but
If they don't know the
Jermaine's.
lyrics after back to back to back, Mary, do you know? If they don't know the lyrics by then,
Oh yeah,
you might have to put, I don't know, sign language up there because they may not be able to read. I'm
yeah.
just
Very true. But yeah, we got the lyric video coming out. I did a guitar playthrough. Jermaine's doing a bass playthrough. Um, I've also over Christmas break, I've got to shoot a bass demo for the new bass. So I've got to write a little something and put that out so that I can demo the bass. Um, so yeah, I've been very ambitious the last couple of weeks, but I love it. I love doing all that, and it puts together a lot of my hobbies, and it puts together my passion and what God's called me to do. So it's kind of just putting it all together. It's very stressful, and it's hard to do all of it by myself, but it's worth it. I love it. I don't know if you've kept up with my page, but this week I've done like it's very silly. It's kind of dumb. But I kept seeing like Stars Will Fall and Becoming Suns and Crimson Overtone. They kept doing like these get to know the band.
mhm.
Well, I'm one person, so I could have made one poor lonely post, but I didn't want to do that. So there's a post on my page every day this week that's introducing the band, and it's just like different personalities of me is basically all it is. So
I'm gonna have to check that out. Are you using different voices and stuff too, or what?
oh no, it's literally it's just like a it's kind of like a little kind of like a picture. It's just a little card, and it'll
Okay.
have like the first day was normal. It was just meet Trey, and it was like Trey loves pizza. His favorite guitarist is Stevie Ray Vaughan. Favorite Bible verse, or I don't think I said favorite Bible verse. There's just Bible verse. Um, and then it's got like pictures from the photo shoot that I did with the bass because I did within the photo shoot I did pictures with the bass and the guitar. I did pictures for Resurrection Christmas. They wanted some Resurrection pictures of the band for Christmas. So instead of taking a regular picture, giving it to Jen and let her put like Christmas stuff over it, I did like pictures of me in like a Santa shirt and with a Santa hat. I even did one with a Grinch mask, and then yeah, so I did a bunch of pictures just so I could do some of this stuff. But yeah, so like Monday was meet Trey. It was just normal. Tuesday was meet Tater the bass player because my nickname is Tater, and like I said, locally I'm known primarily as a bass player because I've been a bass player in a band for over 11 years and then have been a bass player in many other things anyway. So and that's uh, my personal Instagram is Tater the bass player, and my email from when
Not
I
to
was like
mention your
six.
email.
Yeah, my email. So I'm glad we came back to that. That was made when I was 16 years old, and I can't tell you how many times I've almost changed it, and I'm like, this is kind of dumb. I should probably change it. And then I go, I use it for music, and it says Tater the bass player. It's stupid, but it is relevant, and it does. It's dumb, but it works.
Well, here's the deal. If you would have listened to the live show the other night when I played your Christmas song, I actually introduced you as Tater.
Okay, very nice.
So it
That's
sticks.
actually
It
it's a
just works.
family nickname too.
Yeah.
My dad was nicknamed Tater in high school. I think my aunt and uncle. Now, Dad went by it for a while, my aunt and uncle, I think they got called it a couple of times, but not like stuck. So my nickname when I entered high school, when I entered ninth grade, was Tank, and it was a nickname that I got from playing football, but it was given to me by my mother. And I got to high school, and lo and behold, there was another guy nicknamed Tank. Go figure, because that's just a widely used nickname, I guess. Um, but they're like, you can't be Tank. We have another Tank, and I was like, okay. And they're like, and they, I'm not kidding. And these are country guys, um, but they sit there and they really thought about it for a minute. They're like, we're gonna call you Tater, and I looked at him dead in the because I'm even though I'm a country guy, I talk pretty fast and I can talk fairly smart and eloquent, and I went, you guys took all of that time to come up with Tater. You added an R to my last name. That is the best you could come up with. You spent 5 minutes adding an R to my last name. So like I came home after they nicknamed me that, and I was like, I was so mad. And my dad was like, son, I hate to tell you, but that name runs in the family. Good luck shaking it. And here I am, 32 years old. I got that nickname when I was 14. So yeah, I've been going by that for a long time now.
So what is the pejorative of that? Being that if you're named after your father, you'd be Trey Junior. So what are you now, Tater Tot? I don't know. I don't know what that means.
The tater tot jokes are they
I
come.
had to. I mean, you set it up. I mean, what am I supposed to do? I don't know.
We've been told that our kid is that's what people are going to call our kid is tater tot or spud.
Yes,
Um,
I like Spud, man. That's cool.
but actually, funny you mentioned being. I actually am named after my father. Now he's not Trey. His name is John, but which nobody ever expects my name to be. And I'm telling you that for a reason because the Meet the Band, John
Hmm.
comes into play at the very end of the week.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, my real name is John, and I share. So I have the same full name as my dad. So first name, middle name, and obviously last name, but I'm the second. Well, my grandpa was John Robert Tate. So when I came out, my grandpa goes, "We're going to call him Trey because he's the third John." Never has anybody ever and I have checked. I've made sure of this. I was like, "Did any of you ever call me John?" And they're like, "Nope." And this used to be like it used to add some tension between me and my dad because I used to say, and now that I've gotten older and I understand where he's coming from, I've rephrased it and I kind of have grown to understand a little bit better of what I was trying to articulate. But I used to be like, I hate the name John. I don't want to go by the name John. And he would get so mad because that was his and his dad's name.
I,
And he would get, he'd be hurt. And I'd be like, well, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I just don't want to, that's not who I am. I've never been called that. I don't want to go by that. So now that I'm in my 30s and, I'm about to be a dad myself, I understand that it's like, I don't hate the name. It's just, one, I want my own identity. I don't want to be, I'm not my father. And as much as I love my father, me and my father have a great relationship, but I'm still not my father. I'm my own person. And two, nobody's ever called me John. So, I'm Trey. That's all y'all have ever called me. That's what I'm going to go by.
yeah.
But like I said, now I can actually articulate that in a fashion that does not hurt his feelings. And he's like, he kind of, if because it comes up occasionally, and I say that, and he goes, well, you do have a point, I guess. And I'm just like, uh, so
Well, John, dude, usually I try to set these for like I don't know, anywhere from 30 to 32 minutes. Dude, we've been going on for quite a while.
oh
I
yeah, we
hate to
have.
take up all your time, man.
It's okay.
So yeah, let's try to wrap it up here. Just
Okay.
I want to be respectful of your time also.
Okay.
So we've got 2025 coming up, possible new single. Not to
Yeah.
put any pressure on you, but the 5 year anniversary of Radio 13 is
Okay.
March 13th.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I'm throwing it out there.
Okay.
If you wanted to do an exclusive on March 13th for our 5 year anniversary, I'm gonna go ahead and put that up for you. All right.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I'll see
so
what I can do.
yeah, there you go. Like I said, no pressure. I know you got the baby coming on and stuff like that. We're talking about the 5th year anniversary of
Yeah.
Radio 13. So get the priorities right, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. I
So,
see what you're
but
saying.
man, no, I really, really appreciate you taking the time and anything else you want to finish up with, man.
Oh, is your
Oh, yeah.
computer okay?
Yep. It's going to be okay. That is actually, so why don't you go ahead? I'm going to fix that I'm going
Okay.
to be off screen for a minute, but go ahead and finish that or talk there.
I guess I'll just say, for anybody watching this, we didn't, we kept this a little bit more light and casual. There's been other podcasts where I've went more in my story, and maybe we can, if Drew's cool with it, I'd love to come back and maybe get a little bit deeper into that, some of my testimony, because, like we were talking, being a resurrection artist, it is, very much about the ministry side of it, and um, get into some of that, because I definitely have a story to tell. I know you. I remember when you first had the journey on, you mentioned some of the lyrics, and we can dive into some of that too, because it gets a bit deep, and definitely not something I'm afraid to talk about, but just didn't come up this time. But yeah, we
Yeah,
can definitely, I'd love to come back. Like I said, love you to pieces. I'm so grateful to you and several of the other stations. You guys, have had my back since day one of this, and I can't show my appreciation enough. So anytime you want to have me back on, just give me a date, and as long as I'm clear, I'll be back, and we can talk about whatever you want. I know we were very focused on Resurrection Records and kind of how I got here, but we can dive into other things. So yeah, thank you for having me on. Bring me back
absolutely.
anytime you want, and
Yep. Well, we're going to be doing these more often. I mean,
okay.
I'm a realist. I've been in radio. I was in radio up in Minneapolis quite a few years ago on terrestrial radio. So we
Yep.
started this station just about 5 years ago.
Okay.
I know radio is dead. Um, I know I'm a dinosaur in the business. So we are actually trying to, we're going to be doing more of the videos. We're going to go live on YouTube, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll have this up on YouTube. Our YouTube, I think we have 22 subscribers right now. So we're huge.
Okay.
We hit 20. But we were really just started this out, this
Yeah.
part of the venture out, and I think this is where the focus is going to be. So
Okay.
being able to sit down with upcoming artists like you, Stars Will Fall. We talked with Aaron. Heal the Hurt. I don't know if you're on Heal the Hurt band yet, dude. You need
I
to
don't
get
think I've
on
heard
there.
of him. Okay.
Oh my
I'll check him
goodness,
out.
unbelievable. Trevor, from the lead singer from Heal the Hurt, he used to have a podcast that was pretty popular called Trevor Talks, and he talked
Okay.
to all these different huge artists. Now
Gotcha.
he
Okay.
started his own band, and it is incredible. So we have quite a few of these chats up there. So
Okay.
kind of like if you want to go out there and subscribe and help us out, just like we ask all the listeners that we have, especially on our radio side, to support these bands.
Yeah.
Yep, you're signed with Resurrection Records, but independent label. You're a one man show, that
Yeah.
type of thing. Anything that the listeners can do
Yeah.
to help them out. So
Yeah.
we're
Yeah. It's
kind of in
it's hard.
that,
It,
yeah,
it
absolutely, and we're in that
it.
crazy time of the year where everybody's overspending for Christmas and all that kind of stuff. But if you can afford to, buy a hat, buy a shirt, buy a bracelet, do something.
Yeah.
At the very least, or maybe not at the very least, but instead of Spotify, download the song. Download the journey. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah.
Download
And,
Mary Do You Know and play that, like when Aunt Jenny comes over. Do you have any Christmas music? Yeah, check this out. And just crank it.
yeah.
You don't have to worry about, them coming over for New Year's because, that'll melt their face. But
And
do what you can to
something
help.
else that really helps too. I mean, I know we gotta wrap up here, but we're talking about things that help, but there's free things that could help, because it's like I've been saying. There's a lot of people who they look at me and they hear, oh, you're signed. Oh, what does that that mean? You got a big following, this, that, and other, and it's not. And my social media struggles to get any interaction, and sharing is free, liking is free, comments. I mean, things like that can really help your favorite artist. And it's not about, as a Christian artist, it's not about all that, but it's hard to continue to do things if that doesn't happen. It's kind of a give and take situation, and unfortunately, in the time we live in, you know, merch is kind of hard to move.
Yeah.
CDs are harder to move than ever. You do have the streaming, and there's certain things like that can really help artists. And I'm blessed with not a huge fan base, but there's a lot of friends and family that really support me, and my wife supports me. and literally thank God that they do, because I've seen some people who I've met along the journey in the past year, and again, did not mean to pun my own song, but along this path that I've seen them post on Facebook about uh, some of the burnout and the, like, they're putting all this effort in and putting all this time and effort, and I hate to bring up money, but this stuff costs. It's not
Absolutely.
free. It's either going to cost your time and effort, or it's going to cost your money, or a combination. Um, and people like who I'm talking about, and people like me, our hearts go into this, and truly feel like God has called us to do this and put into it. And yeah, there's so many free things that you can do that don't cost anything. Because I'm not a I'm not the biggest fan. Like, I don't care if anybody ever buy. I know I made the comment about my merch not selling, which is true. I don't push a lot of merch, but I also, on my socials, I don't push it more than I have to.
Yep.
If I have something new come out, or like the new thing with Anchor getting on Anchor merchandising, I'll share that. But I'm not going to pester people about buying my merchandise. That's not why I do this. I don't do this. I have a full time job. I like my job. I don't do any of this to make money. I do it because I love God. I love music. He put music in my life, and at a time when I was younger. And again, we can get into this more in a different episode. But he put music in my life when I needed it, and he used it to save my life in a lot of ways. So I'm very passionate about it. It's not at all for the money for me. So, but yeah, engagement like that helps us a ton. So
Yep, absolutely. I resemble everything you say. Small station.
yeah,
Coming from terrestrial radio, from a bigger station to doing this, I do it because number one, I think God told me to do this. Number two, I love it. Number three, whatever we can do to support artists like you,
yeah,
that's our mission.
yeah,
I being that I am the talentless one, I have to grab onto the tails of the talent and just hang on for the ride and do whatever we can, even if it's one person that we can turn on to your music and onto your ministry. More importantly,
yeah,
that's what we do, man. So again, man, I so much appreciate you jumping on for 90 minutes. I think we're going on. That's
yeah.
crazy. Time flew by.
Listen, I can
Absolutely.
talk forever. I like to talk, so
Yeah, so do I. I like the sound of my own voice. But yeah, let's do this again, man. Let's do it.
definitely.
Good luck with prayers for you and your fam. First
Yeah,
child coming up. Very exciting time for you,
yes, sir.
and exciting time for me just to sit and chat with you, bud.
Yeah, it's been great. Again,
All
let's
right,
do it
bud.
again.
All
Seriously,
right, man.
anytime.
Yeah, you take care. God bless. Hang in
Thank
there.
you, you too.
Bye.
Later, bro.